So the problem is this M was on?
The M shouldn't be the problem. This button here is what controls it.
Why would that ever be deselected?
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we're good to go.
All right, Eric. Whenever you're ready.
Mosey. Yes, I do. I'm getting the injury report again and again. Because I wanted to see the Bears one.
I think the mics are already hot.
I think so. Making sure mine's not stabbing me in the neck. That'd be bad. Ramazunze, DNP,
Well,
Luther
just don't
Burden.
talk until you're ready.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk Packers Bears round 2. Eric.
Well, here we are. The last game was for the division lead. The Bears went from the top seed in the NFC to the 7th. Now the Packers are in the 7th. Bears back up in the 2nd after the Denver loss. Again, the winner of this one likely is going to win the division. So the stakes could not be higher. This definitely feels like a classic Bears game going back to Chicago, where last year, as you like to put it, the Packers won thanks to the fact that Carl Brooks, thank you, did not get a manicure that week.
Yeah, Chris likes to talk about that as well. How's the team dealing with the disappointment of losing Micah Parsons?
I mean, when you definitely talk, I remember being in that locker room on Sunday in Denver, and I don't ever want to compare anything to a funeral, but it felt like you felt it when you walked in there. I remember seeing Rasheed Walker was still in full dress when we walked in there. You could just feel just kind of the somberness of it. Not only did you lose the game, but you lost Micah Parsons, and you also had Christian Watson was going to the hospital. Not knowing what was going on with him, maybe still at that point, because I don't know when they found out he was flying back, but there was a lot of unanswered questions. So now maybe it's been a few days, so now you're starting to kind of process it. And I think getting Christian Watson back in practice today, I think maybe boosts that, gives you a little bit of that bounce in their steps. I asked Jordan Love about it. He said, anytime you see guys go down, like a Micah Parsons being done for the season, it obviously takes a toll on you. But he did say it gives you a boost when you found out it was not a season-ending injury for Christian Watson, and he gets on the practice field today. I think that's a big lift for them, and maybe that boost in the spirits is going to help them maybe get to Saturday when, maybe you're not being dragged down as much with Micah now on injured reserve. So his season is done. We do know that for sure now.
Yeah, it is definitely positive development. Watson sure sounds like a guy who plans to play.
He definitely does. I mean, I think he's going to do everything he is trying to do other than put a pad on that shoulder. I mean, when I saw that, I think like everybody else, when you saw that hit, immediately my mind went to Jaden Reed.
Collarbone.
That is
Charles
instantly
Woodson,
what I
Jaden
thought. I was
Reed,
like, that is a collarbone.
Yeah.
The fact that he could play in this game on Saturday is amazing. So that is very impressive. Other injuries, though, there's a lot of guys that are banged up on this roster, but the good news today, they got back Lucas Finesse, and they got back Dontavion Wicks on the practice field, but still no Evan Williams, still no Zach Tom, still no Josh Jacobs. So there's a lot of guys that are banged up trying to get out there. So short week, coming off that altitude in Denver, this might be a little bit difficult to get on the field come Saturday, but they're doing everything they can to get out there. That includes Christian Watson.
Again, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them on our Facebook stream right now. We're on Roku, Facebook, YouTube, WBAY.com. You hate to talk about a game this much and just talk injuries, but some other notes. Evan Williams tells us it's an MCL injury he's dealing with. Usually those cost you a couple weeks. Yeah. Zach Tom says his knee pain isn't as bad as the oblique pain that cost him playing time earlier this year, but he also said it's got to heal up a bit so he doesn't have to risk further injury by playing. So that seems like a little bit of a long shot right now as well. When you look at the matchup, the Bears don't have their Roma Dunze, and a running back popped up on the injury
DeAndre
report.
Swift popped up on the injury report today is limited, so that'll be something to keep an eye on. Mighty Manungai did not. He did play the last matchup. He popped up on the injury report. He's not on the injury report now. So, but those guys are very important to what their offense does, especially now facing this Packers defense, where obviously they're going to try and run the ball, and they're going to try and get Caleb Williams out there, and you don't have to worry about Micah Parsons in the pass rush. Who steps up in that pass rush, I think, is going to be maybe the biggest factor in this game come Saturday. And the Bears are going to try and test it. But Ben Johnson said yesterday that they still have players on this defense. He is not looking past this defense, and he knows better than that. A guy who faced Jeff Hafley's defense twice last year without Micah Parsons when he was with the Lions, so he knows better, and he knows, especially a guy like Keyshawn Nixon had an interception in that last meeting with the Lions. He knows better than to toy too much with Xavier McKinney, who almost baited Bo Nix into an interception just this past week. Maybe this is when Xavier McKinney rises to the occasion. We start seeing those interceptions that we saw at the beginning of last year. Teams are going to try and take some deep shots now that they know they got that extra time in the pocket. You don't got to worry about Micah Parsons. Maybe this is time now when X can kind of get those opportunities. That might be something to keep an eye on when we get to Chicago as well.
I know that the long-term goal is always Super Bowl. It seems tough without Parsons. The playoff scenarios, there are some. They could clinch the Packers with a win and the Lions loss. The magic number is basically 2. Win 2 of the final 3. Have the Lions lose 2 of their final 3, or 1 win and 1 Lions loss would get the Packers in the field. Obviously, winning the division, that hinges upon Saturday. If you can win, you'll be a half game up with 2 to go. You lose, you're a game and a half back with 2 to go. You'd have to ask of the Bears to lose 2 straight. I don't think that probably would be in the cards. So this Saturday is a monumental matchup if the Packers want any hopes of the playoffs going through Lambeau Field.
If there's maybe one thing that kind of helps, you look at the Bears' schedule going forward. They got the Packers this week.
Right.
Then they get the Niners. Then they get the Lions. So they're easy games. I use the quote fingers of easy games. You don't have to play the Browns again. But they have a tough slate. The Packers, they have the Vikings, but they have a Ravens team coming in here next week that will be desperate for a win. They need a win just as badly as the Packers do. So it's December football. Everybody's fighting through something to try and get on the field. I heard guys say that a lot today, that this is December football. Sometimes you just got to find a way to get out there.
Takeaways should probably tell the tale. These two teams giving it away among the fewest of anyone ever. I saw a stat today that Caleb Williams, through 1,000 pass attempts, has the fewest interceptions in NFL history. Kind of remarkable, but his completion percentage isn't that great. He looks like he's not going to get to 4,000 yards again. The Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer. Jordan Love did that his first year as a starter. Turnovers. That's where you could make a difference, make up for Parsons, I think. And yes, the Packers have just 13 through 14 games. That's 7th fewest in the NFL. But Bill Barnwell of ESPN had this great stat, and I just love it. Last year, the Eagles had just 16 through 14 games in terms of takeaways. Then they had 23 in their final 7 games, counting the end of the regular season and the playoffs. Those things are fickle. It could turn on a dime. We know the Packers forced 31 last year, 2 off the league lead. If they start to do that, it could make up for the lack of Micah Parsons, and I think that's certainly an area to watch. Jordan Love during Toyotathon, great until those 2 second-half interceptions against the Denver Broncos last week. How different is that game if Jordan Love has a clean pocket and airs it out for Watson, and that's a touchdown? That's 30-14 right there.
Yeah, talk about the clean pocket. Zach Tom, I saw this stat earlier. Jordan Love's been really good against the blitz this year. But teams blitz 37% of the time when Zach Tom is off the field, 30% of the time when he is. So teams like to test whoever they put out there on that right tackle.
Sense, yeah.
So if Zach Tom isn't out there, expect the Bears to do a lot of that to try and maybe force those quick decisions, even though Love has been really good. But force him to make an error like he did in the beginning of the last game, an interception that was a bit of a head scratcher. That quick decision, you don't see the guy that's there right there. Those are the plays that decide these types of games. So that Zach Tom injury, very, very important. Like Dave said, we're talking a lot about injuries this week, but this time of year, they could mean everything.
In terms of the blitz, though, the Bears are keenly aware of what Jordan Love did against them. All 3 of his touchdown passes 2 weeks ago came against the Bears blitzes. We'll see what happens on Saturday. If you're looking around the rest of the NFL, some gangbusters games, Rams, Seahawks tomorrow in Seattle, Thursday night football, that should probably decide the 1 seed in this thing. The Packers, they've got to take care of their own stuff right now. But if you look at this playoff field, besides the Rams, no one seems like world beaters on either side, AFC or NFC. Perhaps that's a silver lining, though. It sure feels without Micah Parsons like it would be asking a lot of this team to go all the way. But you don't have to win all the games at once. You got to win them one at a time, as Matt likes to say.
I'm very interested to see what Jeff Hafley does, because Xavier McKinney made the point when we were in the locker room that we thought we were a good defense before you got Micah Parsons. They had all of training camp to get ready without Micah Parsons, not even knowing who was going to be on this roster. So does Jeff Hafley go back to those good old simulated pressures? We all kind of were expecting Edgerrin Cooper to just take a leap to the stratosphere this year. he hasn't needed to because you've had a guy like Micah Parsons. So now what do you do with maybe Edgerrin Cooper? You just unleash him and make him more, bring those blitzes. Maybe that's what makes a little bit of a difference with Micah Parsons now out. So I'll get to see some of that Jeff Hafley creativity now, I hope.
Another thing that's interesting, Josh Jacobs not practicing again, but practiced last week not practicing last week didn't seem to slow him down.
He did kind of re-aggravate that knee, though, in Denver. And
Early, then he still had amazing
exactly.
runs and
I mean,
catches.
only 12 carries in Denver. So, I mean, obviously the game, I think, kind of dictated that a little bit as well. It was more of a pass-happy game, especially he got in that second half. We'll see Josh is a guy that he wants to be on the field. He said his mentality, even going back to high school, is that he would rather be on the field and contribute in some fashion rather than sit and watch. It would just drive him nuts. Mentally, it makes the injury worse for him. So tomorrow is the last chance for him to get on the practice field this week. We'll see. Does Josh, he's always said, I'm a guy that wants to feel it. I want to feel what that injury is going to be like when I get on the field. So I think if he gets on the field tomorrow for practice, that is big, that is important for him especially. But you need him in December football against the Bears at Soldier Field. You need to run the ball effectively. Especially like I mentioned, that Zach Tom injury. Now, Darian Kennard has held up well, but it's a whole lot easier sometimes to run block, especially you get behind Anthony Belton, who's made a big difference as a guard. And we talked today about Anthony Belton with Zach Tom, but being a big body and being physical, and that is exactly what you need in these games. You hear the word physical a lot today in the locker room as well. Division game, going to be physical. Need a good running back, need a good offensive line.
Roster news and notes. Micah Parsons officially going on IR today. Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator, saying just an hour ago that he thinks Parsons will break the NFL sacks record for a season next year. That would be something coming off a torn ACL. Other notes today, Rob Domofsky, our Cover 2 contributor and of ESPN.com, says Marshawn Lloyd's going to go back on the active roster, but only for the purpose of then putting him on IR again so that they could maybe activate him 4 weeks from now because his window was up. They had to decide activate or put him down for the entire season. Another one, Matthew Judon, waived by the Dolphins. We'll have to see who picks him up. Perhaps the Pack.
That is a very intriguing pass rusher if you're looking to add one. A guy who, when he was in New England, was very good. So when New England let him go, they
and
went
Baltimore.
So we went to the Falcons. If they can get him back, you don't need him to be Matthew Judon of New England for long. You just need him to be Matthew Judon for 3 weeks.
Right.
Maybe you get that opportunity.
Jalen Phillips, a former Dolphin, helping the Eagles. Perhaps we'll see. Hey, anything that could help at this point. I'm sure Goody's looking under every rock right now. Right now, we'll get you ready for Action 2 News at 6. Thanks for tuning in for our Packers versus Bears preview for the second time in 13 days.